Have you ever found yourself just staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m.? Your mind is just racing, right? Going through all your worries, replaying conversations, making endless to-do lists. Well, you are definitely not alone. It turns out there's this really deep connection between our busy minds and our restless nights. And today, we're going to dive into an ancient solution for this very, very modern problem.
So, before we can find a way out, we first have to understand how we get trapped in the first place. It's this vicious cycle, one where it feels like our own minds are working against us, especially when all we want to do is get some sleep. I mean, really think about it for a second. You feel a little pang of sadness, and then, before you even know it, you're not just sad, you're sad about being sad. You're analyzing it, you're questioning it, trying to wrestle it into submission. So why does this happen? Well, it turns out our brains have two pretty different ways of processing these feelings.
Okay, so think of it like this. Our brains have two main modes. One is what we can call the present moment network. It just feels the emotion, straight up. Sadness is just sadness. But a lot of us, we default to the evaluation network. And this is the part of our brain that just goes into overdrive, judging, analyzing, and worrying about the feeling. It basically wraps that original sadness in all these extra layers of suffering.
And this, right here, is the core of the problem. When we're stressed or depressed, that evaluation network goes completely haywire. It acts like a magnifying glass for anything negative, forcing us to focus on every bad thought or feeling. And this isn't just some mental habit, it has a real physical impact, especially when our head hits the pillow.
Yeah, all that mental chatter, it doesn't just stay in your head. When your daytime stress follows you to bed, it physically hijacks your sleep, and that just makes the whole cycle even more intense.
You know, the science on this is crystal clear. Acute stress completely messes with the actual structure of our sleep. It means it takes longer to fall asleep. We wake up way more during the night, and we get less of that really deep, restorative, slow-wave sleep that helps us feel rested. Even our dream sleep, REM sleep, which helps us process emotions, gets all thrown off balance. And the result is more than just feeling tired. It's a much deeper problem.
Because here's the kicker. This is the other half of the trap. A night of bad sleep compromises the very part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, that's in charge of managing our emotions. So we wake up with less emotional control, which makes us more reactive and more sensitive to the exact same kind of stress that ruined our sleep in the first place.
And there it is. That's the vicious cycle in a nutshell. Stress messes up our sleep, and messed up sleep cranks up our stress. It's this self-perpetuating loop that can feel absolutely impossible to escape. But what if the escape plan has been around for over 2,000 years?
So this brings us to a really profound turning point. We're going to look at an ancient text called the Bāhiya Sutta, which has this surprisingly simple 2,500-year-old instruction on how to break this exact cycle. Take a moment and just let that sink in. In the scene, merely what is seen. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But this is a truly radical instruction. It's asking us to strip away all those layers of judgment and analysis and the story that we add to our raw experience. It's asking us to just see things as they are, not as we think they should be.
So, this ancient instruction is basically what we now call pure mindfulness. It's the simple practice of paying attention to our thoughts, our feelings, and our bodily sensations without getting all tangled up in them. You're not judging, you're not analyzing, you're just noticing. And the commentary on this ancient text makes a really bold promise. It says that when you can experience life this directly, without adding the story of you and all your judgments to it, the result is this, just this, is the end of stress. Whoa, not a reduction in stress, the end of stress. That's a profound claim. So how do we actually put this into practice?
Okay, let's get practical. This ancient philosophy translates directly into a modern, totally accessible practice. You can forget about incense or complicated postures. You can do this right now in just 5 simple steps. It all starts really simply. Just focus on something in the present moment, like the feeling of your breath. As you do that, try not to judge whatever comes up. Now here is the absolute key, and this might surprise you. You will get distracted. Your mind is going to wander. That's not a failure, it's just what minds do. The real practice, the core of the whole exercise, is just gently noticing that you've wandered off and then kindly bringing your focus back. That's it. You just repeat that loop over and over and over again. I absolutely love this metaphor. Every single time you notice your mind has wandered and you gently guide it back, you are strengthening your attention muscle. You're actually training your brain to be less reactive and more intentional about where it puts its focus. It's literally a workout for your mind. So, how does this mental workout actually break that cycle of stress and sleeplessness? Well, this is where that ancient practice meets modern science, and the results are pretty fascinating.
So what's the science behind all this? Well, on the one hand, you have these unhelpful ways of coping, like rumination. That's basically our evaluation network running wild, and that leads to more awakenings and worse sleep. But on the other hand, you have a more helpful approach, what scientists call experiential emotion regulation, which really is just a technical term for mindfulness, acknowledging your feelings, noticing them in your body, rather than just getting lost analyzing them. And the research is clear. This approach leads to longer, better quality sleep.
But what's really happening here is that we are physically changing our brains. This practice isn't just a nice idea. It actively repairs and strengthens the connections between the rational and emotional parts of our brain. We are literally rebuilding our ability to manage our emotions, and that is the key to protecting our sleep.
Another ancient text, the Sutta Nipata, gives us this incredibly powerful image. It says, "The practice of mindfulness is like an antidote. It allows us to slowly and steadily shed the old, worn-out habits of mind, the anger, the craving, the rumination, like a snake shedding its skin. We're not fighting our thoughts, we're simply outgrowing them."
And this brings us to our final thought-provoking idea. So often we get stuck planning and analyzing and trying to build the perfect raft to get across the river of our problems. We read another book, we wait for the perfect moment. But this ancient wisdom suggests that the wise don't just stand on the shore planning, they get on with it. So the question I want to leave you with is this: are you still binding your raft, or are you ready to start crossing?